let's talk about my favorite videos that I made over the last year. So if you didn't watch any of my content, if you don't care about my content, if you just want a greatest hits, kind of presumptuous, kind of arrogant to to call them your greatest hits, this is what I would suggest. For Podcastage, Presonus Tube Pre V2 Review/Test. I discussed this on a live stream with Dark Corner Studios and Bark from Obscure Mics. The reason this was my favorite is I was getting a lot more comfortable with reviewing preamps, understanding what may be useful for people to understand. And it led me to writing some really fun music. I like the music that I wrote in both of my preamp reviews, the Behringer one and the Presonus. But because I was so comfortable with the format, it kind of gave me permission to go ahead and make plans to review all the other really cool preamps that I have. And in order to assist with that, I picked up a nice piece of outboard analog gear. As my mouth gets very clicky and disgusting there, I am so sorry about that. I'm going to vomit. But I got a nice piece of analog synthesizer gear to test out preamps with. I think it would be classified as synthesizer. It's a drum machine. It's an analog drum machine that I'm going to use, so I don't have to route Logic Pro out through an interface into an input on the preamp. I am very excited about that. It's going to be so much fun. That's video 1. Podcastage 2, my favorite video is the Neumann. Hello, Neumann. BCM 705 versus 13 microphones. It's not because I think this is my best video. I didn't have a particularly good time. It wasn't necessarily humorous or anything. It's just the culmination of years of work, I guess. That may be a bit lofty. I got the BCM 705 years ago because there was one video on it, and I wanted to give people a review with a bunch of tests. When I made the review of the Neumann, hello Neumann, BCM 705, I was not doing the comparison section. So it I almost said lactated. It lactated the comparison, the context of how it stacks up and how it compares to all of the other mics that it is competing with. So this year, I finally got around to doing it, and it just ended up to be 13 mics, and I am very happy that I eventually got around to doing that, because that video still didn't exist. There's still not many videos covering that microphone, and that leads me to believe that when somebody's searching for that comparison video will be beneficial. It will help them. Then we get to the podcast. My favorite episode was BSP 344. I did not write down the title of the episode. It just says BSP3. I don't know what the heck that is. I think it was replacing smartphone with single-use items. And this goes back to this journey that I have been on to be more intentional with how I spend my day, with the items that I use, and trying to eliminate distraction and avoid addictive tendencies. I'll put it that way. If I were to be recording a voice memo, it would be very easy to pick up a cell phone, open up the voice memo app, and record there. That's very convenient. But while you're on the phone, you may see a notification that you have an email, that there's a new YouTube video, that somebody tweeted at you, that you have a new text. And now, when you open up your phone to record a voice memo, you've wasted 5 or 10 minutes just goofing off. So in that podcast episode, I discussed this, I guess, goal or habit or practice is what I should call it, of replacing the cell phone with single-use items. What I am holding up is a Sony voice recorder. So instead of using the voice memo app on my phone, which I still will occasionally do, I'll set this up, record for 30 minutes, just playing the guitar, singing stupid songs, trying to come up with something for a review, trying to come up with a chimey lead part in a different key. So I enjoy that so much more because it allows me to be more productive and it reduces the distractions in my life. And that is why that was such an important episode for me and why it is one of my favorite. I covered a lot of topics that I am really passionate about this year. So if you want to go back and listen to episodes this year, I would say there's some good stuff in there. Some topics that aren't just tech related, are not just content creator related. I would say they are life related. And I learned a lot this year, and I would like to think that I grew a lot and matured a lot. I know many people would disagree with that statement. Number 2, I have a second video here for the Bob Says Podcast. The Bob Says Podcast, episode 360. I am including this simply for the introduction. I watched a number of seasons of the Red Dwarf TV show this year, and I loved the first couple of seasons. One of my favorite characters, if not my favorite, is Holly from season 1. And the introduction for BSP 360 is mimicking the introduction for the season 1 of Red Dwarf. So if you haven't seen that, go watch that. It's a fun one. Then on to my personal channel, Bandrew Scott. 5 videos this year. 4 of them were reading Grimm's fairy tales. Maybe in 10 years, I will finish reading all of those. I'm not going to pick any of those. I did one video that was not reading a Grimm's fairy tale. It is how I carry my EDC. How I carry my everyday carry. I know. It was an excuse to use a lav mic and to see how a budget lav mic can sound, because I just realized why I did that. I had a plan on making a video about affordable gear being enough, and I wanted to have content out there using each of these affordable options. So I rushed that video out, and then I ended up not making that video on my main channel. Whoops. But I thought it was fun. It was a fun video. Yes, it was an excuse to test something. And no, nobody was asking for it. That was... I saw people asking the question in other people's comments. I guess it's a bit presumptuous to say, I'll answer that. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. And then we have Wathcastage. There should be a C there. Wathcastage. It should be Watchcastage. My favorite video there was titled 1990s Dad Watch. This was a wearing experience video of the Casio A168, which is a digital watch. I don't know if it came out in the 90s, but it feels like a 1990s dad watch because at least its predecessors have been available for decades. The A168 just is a little bit thicker and it has a better backlight. I think it uses the electroluminescent display as opposed to the micro LED that is on the Casio F91W, which is garbage. So you can actually read this thing at night. The reason that's my favorite, the battery died on my second camera. That's unfortunate. The reason that one was so important for me, or why that's my favorite, is I had not really understood or found my own voice in the watch review game, in the watch coverage game. And in that episode, I turned into Sean Connery, but I also realized I don't need to mimic what everybody else is doing. I just need to share my experience and make the video that I want to make. So instead of trying to make videos that fit the mold of what everybody else was making. I just let loose, goofed off, and made the video that gave me the information I wanted, but also gave me a laugh. And going forward from that, most of my other watch coverage videos, wearing experience videos, followed that same format. I am going to be taking a step back from producing much content on that channel, but when I do get back into it, because I'm not quitting that channel, I will be doing videos on there again. When I get back into it, I am going to keep up that format because it makes it so much more fun for me, makes it less stressful, makes me think I can have a bit more fun here. I don't need to be so straight-laced. I don't need to be so buttoned up. I don't need to have such perfect pronunciation. I don't need to be a perfect presenter. I can goof off and have fun because I have this channel because it's a fun hobby for me. So stop trying to be somebody else, you dope. And that video made me realize that. So go watch that if you want to see me as a 1990s dad. I'm going to change the battery in that so we can have B-roll again. Hi, B-roll camera. You are back up and running, fully charged, and now the edits will be seamless. You can't tell if I edit now. Joke's on you, sucker. Gotcha. I'm hiding all the edits because I am so incompetent.